This will be the last recording for a few weeks as we observe the Thanksgiving holidays here in the United States. I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving, as the case may be. So there are a few updates to report this week. I mentioned before this location in the middle of the state of Florida. So the state of Florida has the Interstate 95 corridor, and it also has the Interstate 75 corridor going on either coast. And in the middle is not a lot. So it kind of bothered me that there were no locations in the heavy corridors, but there was a location here in the middle of basically nowhere in the center of the state. And it's almost getting ready to be opened. It looks like it's just about ready. But to further aggravate me, I was doing my sweep, and another one in the middle of the state, away from the two major corridors, is now spotted under construction. And it too looks like it's just about ready. The wraps are complete, and they only do the wraps after the transformer's in place. So I don't see a transformer, but likely that transformer's already there. But I've been here. The town of Pahokee used to be a town. It's not a town anymore. There's no people there. This is really desolate. In fact, when I was young and stupid, I'd put a canoe in the canal that parallels this road right here, and eventually got fished out by a state trooper who said, "Son, I believe that's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. Don't you know there's alligators in there bigger than your canoe?" And there were. There were big-ass alligators in that canal that I was canoeing. I was trying to get to a campsite, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyway, there's nothing here. There's sugarcane fields. That's it. There's no interstates, and now there's DC fast chargers. Go figure. Anyway, I'm thinking they're doing it just to bother me. I just don't know. All right, let's go through the update. This infograph is old and dated. It's likely not going to ever change. Just there for people who are new to the updates. This is the EVgo infograph. Conceivably, this will update every, 3 months or so. It's a static image. It's not dynamic, so they'll have to manually update it. No update on that infograph, but we do have some changes. The earning report slide number 11 from the General Motors third quarter earnings, bullet point number 3 indicates 25 charging sites by the end of this year, 250 next year, indicating about 20 per month. So things are definitely going to start picking up here. I had an opportunity to go to the Mercedes-Benz Charging Hub inauguration for their flagship site at their headquarters in Sandy Springs, Georgia. And I swung by to get a charge at one of my usual suspect charging stops in Brazelton, Georgia. It's a Pilot Flying J with brand new EVgo Extend charging infrastructure. And I was cruising out at ungodly o'clock. I'm an old guy, so I wake up really early. And I took a double take. I was going down the road. I'm like, did that say what I thought it said? And there's these signs on the interstates as you approach the exit, and lots of times there's also these signs on the actual exit as you're approaching the turnoff. And this is, when I got to the sign in the exit, I looked, I'm like, sure enough, it says EV charging. That wasn't there before, so they've had this replaced. So someone in Pilot Corp has figured out the system in order to get this signage updated. And if you're a capitalist trying to attract customers to your location, you want EV charging customers at your location because they meander around a long time, and so they're prone to buy hot dogs and a cup of coffee, look at the t-shirts, things like that. So you definitely want to have people turn right, and all these people selling petroleum products turn left are going to start to dwindle away with their numbers as time goes on here. But you kind of see where the story is going. In 3 years' time, we won't need PlugShare or in-dash navigation with sophisticated artificial intelligence in order to get us to our destinations. Just when the spirit moves us and we want to pull off, we'll look for a sign that says EV charging, and we'll just pull off and get a charge, a hot dog, go to the restroom, hop back in our car, and off we go. That's where this is obviously going. And I've seen this before. If a British Petroleum franchise owner in my city, back in the Nissan Leaf days, had EVgo 50 kilowatt chargers put at his location, and he also had the signage on the interstate updated to reflect EV charging. So this has been a system that's been around a while, and it looks like it's starting to get used more now that we're entering the mass adoption phase for electric vehicles, and the NEVI funds are getting released and all that fun stuff. As I mentioned, we do have a new site, so we're at 2.6 of the 500 locations. We have 13 sites in total. We have 7 pilot and 6 flying J. Also, because the number of sites is increasing and starting to get a little bit unwieldy, I've broken this up into time zones. I figured that'd be a good way of segmenting because I can't get them all onto the screen all at once, so I figure I can do each time zone. No change in the Eastern time zone. But for people who are new, those are the locations in the Eastern time zone that are open. And we do have at least one location open up in each time zone, which I find personally satisfying to appease my type A personality of things being in order. Nothing in the Central time zone updated. This is a new one as of last week. This one right here is the new one. And it bothers me a little bit. Let me explain. So as I was doing my sweep, I'm familiar enough with these locations, I'm sorry to say, that I could basically recognize when one is missing, and that's what happened this time. Winslow is right here, and my pin was missing. I'm like, did someone remove it? Did it open? And so I opened my EVgo app and I searched Flying J, as I typically do, and there was no hit. I'm like, no, it's not open on EVgo, and it's missing here. And so I went back to EVgo and I changed the filter to take off the coming soon, and there it was. And if you look right here, when the network updates to this, that means the backend systems have been updated, but it wasn't on the EVgo app. And I found that perplexing. I'm like, why is that? Because it puts a little bit of a wrench into my means of discovering these new locations, because I use the EVgo app in order to find sites as they open up. And so I plugged in, instead of Flying J, I plugged in Winslow. And the name of this location in the EVgo app is 612. They didn't name it Flying J. Now, one of two things. Either someone just data entered the name incorrectly, which I personally think is very likely, or they're starting to do a cat and mouse game with these discovery efforts and trying to obfuscate the naming in order to make it more difficult in order to do nationwide scans of which ones are open and which ones aren't. Now, I find that very unlikely. Most likely, the conspiracy theory option isn't realistic, and more likely someone just didn't key it in. But regardless, I've got a means of searching in the EVgo app for locations, even if they do obfuscate, and it's really not that difficult. All I do is I move the slider bar up to 300 kilowatts for the charging speed. Then I look for the number 4 on an interstate, indicating 4 chargers. And it's on an interstate, and then I just scan, and I can see very quickly which ones, because I know all the ones. And if there's anything out of place, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's a new one. So either way, we'll find out here as time goes on if they're trying to obfuscate or if that was just a anomaly. Very likely, as I mentioned, an anomaly. Spotted under construction. Again, I broke into time zones. The new ones are highlighted. This is the bothersome one for me, near Lake Okeechobee. The first one in Pennsylvania has been spotted under construction by PlugShare user Gary. And this one was actually on the list last time, but I neglected to mention it. It's east of Buffalo, spotted by PlugShare user Jim, and Steve from Plug and Play EV swung by and got a picture. They have the hardware on site, but it's got a ways to go before it's going to be open. I'm thinking probably, I don't know, springtime or something. Central time zone, we do have a new one. This is in Fort Worth, Texas, and the PlugShare user who spotted it was uncertain if it was EV chargers getting installed, because he said it's too big of a construction site. And I looked at the pictures. I'm going to call it Ultium build, because it looks like what they're doing is they're just building out the service deck, putting in new concrete, and likely going to put in a canopy or something. But it definitely has all the earmarks of an Ultium build. Also, knowing the narrative that's currently going on in Pilot Corp, I highly doubt it's anything, but we'll keep an eye on it. Nothing under construction in the Mountain or Pacific time zones. Let me pause here in the Central time zone for anyone who wants to capture that. Pause here in the Eastern time zone for anyone who wants to capture that. The sites spotted with state funding on state funding spreadsheets has not changed. And for anyone new, there's no changes to these pictures, but I'll just go over them for anyone who's new. This is Perrysburg, Ohio. This site is operational near Toledo. And YouTuber Zero E Michigan did a site visit video of this, which I'll link down below in the description. Williamsburg, Kentucky, I've been to twice, maybe 3 times. And I have a site visit video for that as well, I'll link down. Ardmore, Oklahoma. Crazy Postman did a site visit video, linked down below in the description. Knoxville, Tennessee, their signature location, very close to their headquarters. I did a site visit video for that as well, linked down below in the description. Georgetown, Kentucky, everything's in place, including the transformer. This is likely going to open up very soon, likely before the deadline of the first of the year and being one of the first 25. Warrenton, Missouri, similarly, looks very close to being completed. Dispensers in place, canopy in place. They're not wrapped, at least in this picture, but likely they will be shortly. Peculiar, Missouri, canopy's in place, but this one doesn't look like it will be complete by the 31st, if I had to guess. It still looks like it's got a ways to go. Maybe, I don't know. Anthony, Texas. This is near El Paso. I'm thinking this one's going to be done before the first of the year. And there's a lot of activity on PlugShare concerning this location. So maybe there's not a lot of DC fast charging infrastructure in this area. So the EV community has been popping into PlugShare and swinging by and doing updates on this one more so than other locations. So there's a good deal of local interest in this site becoming active. Keston on the Hudson. Plug and Play EV captured this image for us as it can be coming. I'd say it's springtime. We'll be charging at this site. Amarillo, Texas. I think this is up near the Panhandle. Not much around there. Still has the fence. It might be finished by the 31st, so this might be one of the original 25. And that's our update for this week. I hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving, as the case may be. Take care. Thanks for watching.